So let's go to the next one. Pawn. Pawn. Pawn is play on words. When you use pawn, you are playing on words. Pawn. If I say, for example, you say, I meant pawn. Pawn is simply play on words. In English language, you play, in literature, you play on words. E.g., look at this word, soul and soul. Huh? I could use an example like, I meant soul. I meant the sole of shoes for the restless soul. That's a play on words. Soul. So what is played on here is soul and soul. Then you can equally play on this word, weak and weak. Weak and weak. If I want to make, I said, the old man arrived the scene a week earlier and was looking very weak. You see, I played on words. So I played on weak and weak. So simply, pawn is a play on words. I don't know if it is clear to you, students. Like I said, it's simply put, pawn is a play when you play on words. So I've explained pawn. Now let me go to apostrophe. So when you say apostrophe, it's a direct reference to an object or a person as if it's right there with you. That's what we call apostrophe. A direct reference to a person or an object as if the object is right there before you. For example, if you say, look at this word, apostrophe. You are making reference to an object as if you say, oh, that, stop following me. You are making a reference to death, as if death is right there with you. I'll give you another example. If you say, for example, we say, frailty is the immediate name of a woman. People say frailty. We say women are frail, isn't it? You not say frailty is the immediate name of a woman. It's a quote, it's a popular quote. You are saying that women are naturally weak. They are weak. They are frail. Is the immediate name. And so you are addressing frailty as if frailty is the immediate name of a woman. You are addressing frailty as if frailty is there with you. Frailty is the immediate name of. So I hope you understand what I mean by apostrophe. When you are addressing an object as if the object is right there with you. In John Donne's poem, Rising Sun, John Donne was addressing the sun as if the sun was right beside him, telling the sun not to disturb his love life. So the next one is a paradox. The next one is paradox. We use a lot of paradoxical statements in our everyday use. Paradox is a statement that looks contradictory, but on the deeper sense of it has meaning. A contradictory statement which has elements of truth in it. For instance, if I say, the child is the father of the man, it might look contradictory. But if you look at it on a deeper sense, the child is actually the father of the man. Because a child grows up to become what? An adult. He grows up grows up to become a man. That's why we say the child is the father of a man. That's paradox. Paradox. I say a statement that is contradictory, but on the deeper sense, it has meaning. If you say more haste, less speed, we use it on the very more haste, less speed. That the meaning of that statement is that if you are hasty in certain things, you miss the point. If you are in a hurry, unnecessarily in a hurry, you take the wrong step. That's why I say more haste, less speed. So that's the meaning of that statement, more haste, less speed. The next one we are going to look at, figure of speech, is rhetorical question. Rhetorical question. Simply put, rhetorical question is a question that does not elicit an answer. A question that does not elicit an answer. You're not expecting an answer. People use it in literature for emphasis and to beautify your work. To beautify your work. For instance, there's this poem called Riverbed, Riverbed. He said, when will my mother come? When will my mother come? That's a rhetorical question. Then, Sonic's poem, Abiku, he said, must I weep for goats and cowries? It's a rhetorical question. He's not expecting, the poem, you say it, the rhetorical question, when you say it without expecting an answer. You say, must I wait, must I wait for goats and cowries? It's a rhetorical question. Then the riverbed, the small boy in the poem Riverbed said, when will my mother come? He was anxious about, because he was anxious about seeing the mother. Another form would say, when will my mother come? Poets use it for just emphasis. When will my mother come? So if you're answering your why question and you see a rhetorical question, most rhetorical question does not necessarily have to start from WH. But most of them are WH. Who? If you find the word who, when, where, why. So they are rhetorical questions. That's for rhetorical questions. The next figure of speech is metonymy. Metonymy. Simply put, is a figure of speech that uses words that are associated with a particular class. It's the use of words that are associated with a particular class. If you say, popularly they say Wall Street in London or America is the economic hub of America. The economic hub or center, hub or center in America. Then, when you look at this word scepter, scepter is a symbol of authority for a king. That's that thing a king carries about. It represents the king. Scepter is used by king. That's staff of office. The staff of office they use is a metonymy for kingship. The staff of office a king uses. Now, when the king is coming, he holds his what's it called? The paraphernalia of his office. That is scepter, or they call it scepter. What he holds is a symbol, that's metonymy. I said Wall Street, economic. Then people say Hollywood. Hollywood is a metonymy for what? The film industry in America. Hollywood. Hollywood, a metonymy for the film industry in America. So also we have, in Nigeria, we have Bollywood, they call it Bollywood, or I don't know what to call it, in America. Huh? Then Aso Rock is a metonymy for what? The seat of power. Aso Rock is a metonymy for the seat of power in Nigeria. In Nigeria. A metonymy for the seat of power in Nigeria. I say Hollywood, a metonymy for film industry in America. Aso Rock, a metonymy for the seat of power in Nigeria. Wall Street, economic hub or center in America. Scepter, a metonymy for instrument of power for a king. An instrument of power. Please, I hope you can see. Okay, an instrument of power. For kings. For kings. Scepter is an instrument of power for kings. So we've done metonymy. Let's look at synecdoche. Next figure of speech, I'm going to look at the synecdoche, or synecdoche. Synecdoche is when the part, this synecdoche is when the part represents the whole. It is a figure of speech used when the part is used to represent, sorry for the spelling, represent the whole. Represent the whole. When the part is used to represent the whole. For instance, at the refugee camp, several hands stretched out for food. The synecdoche there is several hands. So your several hands represent, what I mean by several hands there is, hands there represent people. So many people stretch out. You can imagine what happened in the refugee camp. So people use it. They say, some people say it's Nigerian English, several hands. So many hands are asking for, I think it's a universal English. Several hands ask for food. So the hand there is synecdoche. It's synecdoche. If I equally say, in Africa, gray hair is highly respected. Gray hair is highly respected. The gray hair there represents the entire body. Gray hair is synecdoche. So when you are reading poetry or you're answering a poetry question and they say point out the synecdoche, if hands is mentioned there, if any part of the body is mentioned there, simply say such part of the body is synecdoche or synecdoche. So that's that for synecdoche. Then the next one is antithesis. Antithesis, a balancing of contrasting ideas. Antithesis is a balancing of contrasting ideas. Ideas which contrast. In poetry, if I simply say, if one door closes, another opens, you can see close and open. They are contrasting. So when you see ideas contrasting, like I remember I told you, oxymoron is a balancing of words which exist by contrasting words existing side by side. While antithesis, you are balancing contrasting ideas or words, not words. Words can be phrases. And I made example by saying, if one door closes, another opens. I said, why some were weeping, others were, I meant to say others were crying. Supposed to be crying. Crying. So, that's that for antithesis. Let's look at assonance. You know, in literature we have vowel sounds, we have consonant sounds existing in poetry. Assonance is preponderance of consonant sound in lines of poetry or sentences or sentence words when you have consonant sound repeating themselves severally in poetry. For example, I gave an example. I said, she seems to beam rays of sunshine with her eyes of grain. So if you look at this now, you can see that there's so much assonance used here. Or there's so many assonances used here. You have the air sound here. You know, in literature, in English language, this spelling is E. But if you want to realize it phonetically, this sound E is realized as this. As in sim, dim, you know, and so on and so forth. So you can see that this sim, you have there's an E sound here. There's another E sound here. There's another E sound here. So you can see so many assonants are represented here. So I gave another example, which is there are some creeps who I wouldn't meet if you paid me a heap of cash. This is a vowel sound. I is a vowel sound too. This is a vowel sound. Then heap is a vowel sound. So there's so much use of assonance in this statement. It's so easy. So that when you are reading poetry, if you see repetition of vowel sound regularly in those lines of poetry in words, you know that they are assonance. So also I made mention of consonant sound. That I said consonant, when you talk about alliteration, repetition of consonants, I know we have consonant and vowels in English. They are equally represented in literature. And like I said, English language and literature are brothers and sisters. You cannot divorce one from another. The next figure of speech I'm going to look at is euphemism. Euphemism is used regularly by most of us. We use it unknowingly. Our parents use it. In business committee, they use it. In offices, people use it. You know, literature is everywhere, like I told you. Literature is a living language. It permeates all strata, all aspects of what we do. It's euphemism. When you are substituting a harsh expression with a mild one, substituting a harsh expression with a mild one. For instance, the man has joined the ancestors. That's euphemism. Meaning the man is dead. The old man, because if you go to somebody who is hypertensive, you just go to tell him, your father is dead. You will need somebody to help you support that person because he's going to collapse. But if you tell him your father has joined the ancestors, you are giving him time to think about what you mean by your father has joined the ancestors. If it's somebody who's not literary minded, you may not understand what you mean by your father has joined the ancestors. Another example of euphemism is when you tell somebody, Mr. Ojo has seen many years. You are trying to be euphemistic. Instead of saying Mr. Ojo is old, because Mr. Ojo can just slap you if you say you are too old. You can say Mr. Ojo has seen many years. Personally, I even hate telling people you are owing me. I use euphemism. I tell them you still have a balance to give me, instead of telling them you are owing me. Because some people don't like it. I told somebody you are owing me one, they say, am I a debtor? So you try and use euphemism to couch, to hide some of the things you say in the public so that it might not be annoying to the person you are saying it to. For example, if you say a prostitute, there's a euphemism for prostitute. You say a woman of easy virtue. A woman of easy virtue. That's euphemism. That's euphemism for a prostitute. Instead of saying, look at that whore, or look at that prostitute. Or people use armed robbers, a euphemism for armed robbers. They say the friends are friends in the road, or so. And so on and so forth. Or you want to say, lastly, you want to say that somebody is ugly. You might not say it's ugly outright. You just say it's not good looking. You know? So you just keep that person guessing. That's the reason we use euphemism. You are hiding, you are using, substituting a harsher word with a milder statement. You are being euphemistic. So that's that for the literary devices we will use in literature. You have a whole lot of them, but I've been able to, the fundamental ones are the ones I have just explained to you. And I hope you'll be able to, or you should be able to apply them to your literary work, be it your novel, your poetry, or your drama. Because they all traverse the entire genre of literature.